The life of Buddha is not only a journey to enlightenment but also an inspiration through profound stories of cause and effect. Through tales of greed, envy, and letting go, Buddha taught us valuable lessons about ethics, wisdom, and peace in life. The story of the greedy farmer who ruined his harvest. Once upon a time, there was a farmer who lived in a small village. He was a hard-working man and owned a lush, fertile rice field. However, he was always dissatisfied and unhappy with the growth rate of his rice plants. He thought, if the rice ripens faster, I can sell it sooner and earn more money. My family will no longer suffer hardships. This thought consumed him every day. One sleepless night, he came up with a strange idea: to pull each rice plant upward a little to make them grow taller. He told himself, surely, my harvest will be better than everyone else's. The next morning, he rushed to the field and painstakingly pulled each rice plant higher. After finishing, he felt exhausted but very satisfied, believing he had gotten ahead of others. However, a few days later, he was horrified to find that his entire rice field had withered and died. Holding his head in despair, he blamed himself. Everything is lost. If only I had been more patient. If only I hadn't been so greedy. Buddha's words. The seeds that are sown need time to sprout. Those who impatiently force the fruit to ripen early will only reap ruin. Greed leads to suffering. Lesson. Greed and impatience not only destroy the fruits of one's labor but also cause suffering to oneself. Respect the natural laws and work diligently in the right way. The story of Devadatta and his lust for power. Devadatta was the cousin of Buddha, but he was always filled with jealousy and ambition. Even after becoming a monk, he could not let go of his desires and thirst for power. One day, Devadatta approached Buddha and said, "Master, you are old. Let me lead the Sangha in your place. I will do better." Buddha calmly replied, "Devadatta, you have not attained the enlightenment and compassion needed to guide others. Power is not the path to liberation." This response enraged Devadatta. He secretly plotted to seize power. One day, he released a ferocious elephant to attack Buddha. However, when the elephant approached, Buddha's compassionate gaze calmed it, and it bowed its head before walking away. Undeterred, Devadatta rolled a large boulder down a mountain to harm Buddha. The boulder struck another rock and shattered, causing only a minor injury to Buddha. Ultimately, Devadatta's evil deeds led to his isolation from the Sangha. In his later years, he was overwhelmed by pain and sickness. Before he died, Devadatta regretted his actions and said, "It was my greed and jealousy that destroyed my life." Buddha's words. Those who sow evil deeds will, sooner or later, face the consequences. Those who live in ambition and anger destroy themselves. Lesson. The lust for power and jealousy not only causes suffering to others but also ruins one's own life. Only compassion and letting go can bring peace. The story of the crow and the jewel. A crow flew through the forest and happened to see a sparkling jewel. It thought, "This must be very valuable. If I keep it, all the other birds will admire me." With this thought, the crow held the jewel in its beak and flew around to show it off. Instead of admiration, the other birds became envious and tried to snatch the jewel from it. The crow had to fly away constantly. Unable to rest, it flew to a village. But there, The villagers saw the jewel and chased after it. The crow grew exhausted and frightened. It asked itself, "Why am I holding onto this jewel? It hasn't brought me any joy, only misery." Finally, the crow flew to a river and dropped the jewel into the water. It felt relieved, returned to its nest, and lived a peaceful life. Buddha's words: "A jewel may please the eye but can also burden the heart." Letting go brings lightness to the body and mind. Lesson: clinging to things that do not truly belong to us, or holding on to something that doesn't bring real value, only leads to suffering. Learn to let go to live a lighter, more peaceful life. The story of the greedy gem merchant and the deceiver. A famous gem merchant became wealthy through his deceitful practices. He often sold fake gems at high prices, unconcerned about the consequences. One day, he heard about a stranger possessing a rare, valuable gem. The merchant thought, "If I get that gem, I'll become the richest man in the region. I must deceive this person at all costs." He pretended to befriend the stranger, acting sincerely and offering to buy the gem at a low price. But the stranger refused. Not giving up, the merchant devised a more elaborate plan. He invited the stranger to his home, promising to exchange the gem for something even more valuable. Eventually, he tricked the stranger into giving up the gem. However, upon close inspection, the merchant discovered that the gem was just an ordinary polished stone. He realized he had been deceived by someone even more cunning than himself. Holding the stone in bitterness, he thought, "I've lived my life deceiving others, and now I've been deceived myself." Buddha's words: "Those who deceive others ultimately deceive themselves. Cause and effect never fail." Lesson: dishonesty and greed will always bring corresponding consequences. Those who deceive others will eventually be destroyed by their own deceit. The story of greed and the venomous snake. A poor man walked through the forest and found a venomous snake trapped in a net. Instead of leaving, he thought, "If I catch this snake, I can sell it to someone who makes medicine and earn a lot of money." He carefully untangled the net and put the snake in a bag. When he brought it home, he boasted to the villagers. However, the snake, having been trapped for so long, became aggressive. When the man opened the bag to show it off, the snake lunged out and bit him. The venom spread quickly, and he collapsed. Before he died, he thought painfully, "If only I hadn't been greedy. If only I had let the snake go, I wouldn't be dying now." Buddha's words: greed is like the venom of a snake. Those who nurture greed will ultimately be destroyed by it. Lesson: greed is like a venomous snake. If uncontrolled, it will turn back and harm you. Learn to be content with what you have to avoid suffering. Dear friends, the journey of letting go of greed, anger, and ignorance is the path to true happiness and peace. Through Buddha's stories of cause and effect, we learn the value of compassion and wisdom in life. Let's share these meaningful lessons by liking, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the video with others. Remember, every good deed you do today is a seed for a joyful future. Thank you for joining us. Wishing you happiness and peace always.